morning. We are into the Apocrypha of Bible women. First, I'd like to introduce Allison Mayer.
Hello.
Tell us about yourself and tell us about what you did before you became a stay-at-home mom. How about that?
Before I became a stay-at-home mom, I have worked as an architect and as an elementary school teacher. When I was working as an architect, it was mainly designing schools, so kind of blended one to the other. Yeah. And then I had
awesome.
2 children and been staying home since. So.
Do you need a license to be an architect?
You do.
So, you don't have? Oh, not yet.
Not yet.
Okay, because you have to do a whole bunch of
other stuff, yes.
other stuff.
Yeah.
So. Well, look forward to having you. Anyway, seeing your work. We are now, before Allison starts, we are now in the Apocrypha. The Apocrypha of the Bible is the deuterocanonical part, as it is said. It's when they were Christians were putting together the Old Testament. They took what was Greek, the Vulgate, and then they went back and realized that the Old Testament was actually written in the Hebrew. So the Old Testament, the canonical for us Christians, the canonical is that which they found had been written in Hebrew. And then they had some additional stories that were written in the Greek, but not in the Hebrew. So they put those together, those that were written in Greek, but they couldn't find the Hebrew, and put them in between the Old Testament and the New Testament in our verbiage of Old Testament and New Testament. Most of the stories are narratives. Most of them have kind of bizarre magical stories or mysterious stories. And certainly the women we hear about today are different, and a lot of the stories in the Apocrypha have very little to do with God's influence. They're just good narratives.
Yeah, well, we have an angel.
Mm-hmm. We have an angel and a magical fish. Yeah. So, first we're going to talk about Anna. They're all kind of related, so follow along as best you can.
These are all from the book of Tobit. And Anna is married to Tobit, and he is a rather wealthy man. But he's good. He gives lots of money away. He supports people. He helps people. He's good believer, and at some point in time he goes blind after burying someone that couldn't afford to get buried. He buries this man. He takes a nap. Bird droppings fell on his eyes, and he goes blind. So Anna now has taken over making money for the family. She's a weaver, and she's supporting the family. They have one son named Tobias that we know about, and things get tough. She's working. At some point in time, she brings home a goat that somebody has given her in addition to what she has earned. And Toby gets pretty upset about that and almost accuses her of stealing it. Have to give it back. And she kind of comes back at him saying, you used to give people alms and help people out. And now that we're on the receiving end, he didn't really like that, I think. So she kind of called him out on that. But so things aren't going great for them. Tobit's blind. In the meantime, in another section of the area, there's a young girl. Well, she's not young anymore, I guess.
No.
Sarah. And poor Sarah has been married 7 times already. She has a demon that's in love with her. And Asmodeus, the demon, keeps killing all of her husbands after they've been married, but before the
consummation. It's
been consummated. So she's having a rough go of it, to say the least. She has a maid. Do we know her name? No, she's just a maid in Sarah's household that pretty much tells her you need to just you'd be better off dying.
Rather than to marry again.
Then keep marrying again and having your husbands get killed. And this sort of throws Sarah, poor girl, poor woman, she doesn't want to go. She does consider, suicide, because life is terrible. All my husbands keep getting killed. Got this demon that loves me. But she can't kill herself because she's her father's only child, or only daughter. And that would hurt her parents too much. So she doesn't. So she actually prays to die. She prays to God that hopefully she would die, because this is just no way. But she couldn't kill herself.
Right. So then
we have God intervenes and realizes, hey, I can solve two problems with one go round, with one fish. Because God sends Angel Raphael to go incognito, of course, and he
and Tobias,
the son of Tobit, go off to go find some silver that's been buried someplace. And Raphael is going to be the guide. He ends up saying, we're going to stop here at your kinsman's. By the way, you need to marry this woman,
Sarah.
And you're not going to die, because we have parts of a fish that we're going to burn, and it's going to scare off the demon.
Right. This magical fish.
The magical fish, they burn the fish, the demon goes away, they pray to God. Tobias makes it through the night, they're happy.
And then they take the magical fish back to blind Dad.
And heal Tobit with the magical fish. His eyes are good now.
Right.
So, it's interesting.
It is. They are all in Nineveh, because the Assyrians, they have not come back from exile. So they're really not back in Israel, but they're during the exile stages. So at this point, I'm supposed to ask you, what is the impact in your spiritual life of these stories?
Catch a magic fish.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I thought it was interesting. Some things that we didn't really talk about in that story. There's also Sarah's mom, and she keeps encouraging her daughter, don't give up. Maybe this one will work. Mm-hmm. So I guess, thinking about just trying to encourage people when they're going through a rough time. Also, the Maid, it made me think a little bit about, what you say can really impact other people. And even if it's just a little, because the Maid's like, go kill yourself. And awful to say, but, just some little comment that you might say in a moment of frustration. You have to think about what that might do to someone. And I know that's hard, especially with children, like how do you, when you're just so frustrated or something that, you have to really think about what your words mean. But I don't know, it's sort of an interesting story. I'd never read it before. And you have the mom who, Anna, the mom of Tobias, she, in part of the silver, which is the whole reason that Tobias is going on this trip, he comes back late because of all the wedding ceremonies, and she is convinced that he's died. And sort of one of the things that she talks about is, is the need to go get the money that we had buried someplace else more important than your son's life. And she sort of talks about that to Tobit. And I think that's, something that, are people more just possessions and wealth and stability versus making sure that the people you love are safe. Sort of struck me as part of that. But, poor Sarah.
Yeah, I know, all those husbands, and then, yeah.
That would be a lot to take. Be married 7 times and have all of your husbands killed.
By a demon who happens to be in love with you.
Right.
Himself, and so therefore of
And this is one of those stories that, it's kind of so many kind of odd things going on. It's a hard one to relate to, I guess.
It is. It's yes. You can see probably why it wasn't in the canon. Why it wasn't. You got to have faith in God, because God is present in this with the fish and the angel.
And Raphael, yeah.
But
it's a little more magical,
right.
I think, than we as a society normally take with our religion.
Very true. It's more a fairy tale almost than a biblical tale. But a good yarn anyway. Thank you very much, Allison.